Welcome to today's edition of the B&FT chat with me, Norvan and Acquah Hayford. Today we'll be speaking on a very important subject that has to do with the procurement process in this country. One of the things that we have found out is that suppliers are always complaining of being paid late. Why? Because sometimes it takes 30, 60, and even it goes up to 300 days before they are paid for the supplies that they have made. How can they overcome this? How do they stay insolvent when they always have to wait all this time before they can be paid? We are going to be speaking to one important man who understands these processes and has a solution to help, ease the burden on these suppliers. Frederick Nii, Dodoo, the CEO of Lynch Capital, is my guest today. We're going to go in there and speak to him and find out how can these suppliers stay solvent as they supply companies, and how do we make sure that the procurement process is always done in such a way that it's a win-win for the supplier and also the company who will be receiving these supplies. Join me as we go in and speak to him. But remember, my name is Norvan and Acquah Hayford. This is the B&FT chat. Let's go in. All right, Mr. Dodoo, thank you very much for joining us on today's edition of the B&FT chat. We've seen a lot of challenges with companies' inability to pay on time, that is paying suppliers, and that seems to be your field. For the many years that you've been there, what are the key things that cause these companies for not being able to pay on time? Sometimes they tell you 60 days credit, 30 days credit, 45 days, some even up to 120 days.
It could even go more.
I mean, why do we keep seeing this that sometimes keeps these suppliers telling you, look, you know what, we have challenges with finance and all that?
My experience in this very area, I come to the conclusion that it's a combination of factors. Part of them is cash flow issues at the other side, the receiving company. Because normally what you see is that they may have the money to pay immediately, but the obligations are a lot on them. So okay, for those they can push back, they will push back because it comes to them at no cost. Now, it gives them advantage, but on the side of the supplier, that delay is costing them, it's affecting them, it affects their operations. Unfortunately, you need the business on the other side, so the supplier is handicapped. You still need to manage the situation and hope to get paid, but mainly it's cash flow issues. And occasionally, it's wrong handling of invoices. You rightly would have followed the process, delivered the invoices, but in handling these invoices, sometimes they get missing, sometimes it drops, sometimes it's carelessly handled. So it doesn't go through the process as expected. Both cases, it affects the supplier. He needs the business. So you can't do much about it other than to find a much better way of relating to your clients.
I'm curious because I am thinking that you get to a lot of these huge companies in sectors like oil and gas, mining, and aviation sector, and they are telling you that you have to give me 60 days credit before I pay because they have to be auditing and all that. How do you tell me that it might be due to wrong handling of invoices or their inability to follow the process, or had to do with cash flow issues?
You see, typically, when you get to these big organizations, the flow towards payment, it goes through several stages. You'll be surprised, a typical mining company, your invoice would have to first be received by a supplier, which is a different department. Received by a supplier, somebody has to vet the invoices, confirm PO, approved by maybe the head of the department. Before that invoice now would have to move to finance. Some of these companies we are talking about, they handle probably 600, 700 suppliers. Several invoices are being processed and paid in a day. So for them, it's the number of clients that they are handling. That is why they could tell you, okay, 60 days is reasonable for us to go through the entire process. These are big organizations. A lot of suppliers, a lot of invoices are going through. So because you are somehow a medium or small company, you tend to feel it that much. But from their end, it's a normal process, because of the numbers of invoices involved and the time it takes them to go through, department. And it will interest you to know, sometimes your invoice would have to be received at a certain location. By the time it's paid in a different geographical location, because the finance and then the supply side are at different fiscal locations. So the invoices, in most cases, don't even end up in the same area. It has to be received at one area, moved physically to a different area for payment. It happens a lot with mining companies. It happens. It's very common with mining companies.
And so it means that a lot of the time these suppliers have their cash always held for this number of days with no interest paid to it.
Completely, no interest at all. No interest paid completely at all. In fact, in most cases, you would rather end up cajoling and pleading and making phone calls, trying to talk to people to have these invoices processed. An invoice could easily go for 300 days, very easily, because aside the 60 days, if you look at the process as I've described it, very common, they go missing. Very common, they go missing. And they will come back to you to resubmit the invoice when you start following up for payment. So easily an invoice can go 200 days, 300 days, and for them, it doesn't come at any cost. It is you, the supplier, who would have to bear the cost of it. So now you have to find another source of funding to keep you going until these invoices are paid, possibly a year or nearly a year or 6 months down the line.
These things can close down businesses.
It does. And when you deal with, in our experience, it's one of the reasons why a lot of the small and medium suppliers struggle to take on 4, 5, 6 POs. What I mean by PO is supply instructions. Because when the money is not there, you can't do much. And in case you are in dire need and you need to meet the commitment, then you have to find a way of borrowing.
Because the source of the material, that is the manufacturer, sometimes
to
wants
pay.
his money even before he will give it to you, the supplier, to do that.
Yes, that's nearly 90% of the case. That's how it works.
Can you imagine when I'm importing my products from, let's say, China, Indonesia, talk of India, talk of US, UK, wherever it is that I'm importing from, they want me to see payment even before the goods move.
Absolutely. On top of that, the goods will land at the port. You would have to meet custom requirements. You understand? If you are not careful, you might even end up with demurrage and storage charges before you deliver, before these invoices are paid. So for the small and medium companies, particularly suppliers dealing with these big organizations, it's a tall order. It's a real tall order.
So where do you come in? Lynch Capital, a business that says that we can help you facilitate some of these things. Where do you come in?
If you look at, when you play around this area, you will see that predominantly it's a cash flow issue or working capital issue. So we said, fine. We have identified this as one of the major headaches for small and medium enterprises. So we said, fine. We would develop products that will allow you to get payment well ahead of time. So we developed and introduced factoring into our economy. So at the moment for Lynch Capital, the main thing we do is invoice factoring. How does it work? You supply items to a mining company or an oil and gas company. They have a 60-day agreement with you. We said, fine. Can you confirm to us that you've delivered the items? You said yes. Okay. Day 2, day 3 of delivering the invoice, of delivering the items, we said, look, raise an invoice, give the invoice to your client. That same invoice, give to me. When you give the invoice to me, what ordinarily you would have to wait for 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 300 days. We said, no, you don't need to. 1 week after delivery, we would advance you the money. When we advance you the money, we said, don't worry about the collection. So effectively, we'll manage your sales ledger. Effectively, we will manage your AR. Effectively, we will manage your credit control regime. And then we will follow up for the payments. Okay, so for us at Lynch Capital, this is just what we do. Instead of you worrying when the invoice is going to be paid, when is your next receipt coming in, we are making it definite for you. Maximum 4 days after delivery of your invoices. Let us be aware, we will buy the invoices of you and we will manage the cycle all throughout.
So it doesn't become the headache of the supplier to go chasing, this payments and all those things that has to be.
You see, we need to add value to the whole process. Not only adding value, but we need to make it as easy as it can be. So we said, no problem. Concentrate on your core function. Your core function is to deliver the items. So you deliver the items and give us the responsibility of managing the payment. We are not asking you to wait for the payment. We said, no, the moment your invoice is ready, deliver it. We would advance you the money and we'll manage the entire process up to the point of payment. So effectively, we are managing your sales ledger. What ordinarily would have been in your books as receivables, it's now in our books for us to manage. Your entire credit regime, which means, okay, what payment terms do you have with your client? You have 60 days. We will wait the 60 days. So that responsibility of managing credit is ours, up to the point the invoice is paid. In fact, you can afford not to have a credit team in place, but you can work on credit and offload it on us at no cost. At no cost at all, because we manage it all along the way. When there is a difficulty with an invoice, which normally happens, i.e. wrong rates have been applied, invoice have been wrongly addressed or something, we will come back to you. So occasionally we may end up with about 2 or 3 extra days. It comes to you at no cost whatsoever. Lynch Capital will own it, run it, resolve the issue, and then get the invoices paid. All this time, you have been paid your money already. So for you, the job is clear. Concentrate on doing your core service. Deliver.
When you say invoice factoring,
yes,
what's the difference between that and discounting of invoice?
there's a difference.
Tell us.
Yeah, there's a difference because it's common. I see people use the terms interchangeably. There's a big difference. Now, this is the difference. When you do factoring, the process, as I have outlined to you, are all ours to do. So it's a factoring company who does that. In the case of discounting, even though they've advanced you the money, the process of having to follow the invoice, the process of having to resolve queries, all the way up to payment are still yours to handle. So if you do discounting, even though I have discounted the invoice and advanced you the money, you still need a credit team in the office to manage the credit sales. You still need to follow up on the invoices and ensure payment. You still need to pick the phone and be calling the client. Okay, so between the two, the big difference is the process, managing the entire process up to collection of the payment. Now, you could deliver an invoice today. The difficulties sometimes may not be entirely your client not willing to pay you or process delay or something, but it is just for the case that your invoice is not being followed up. Because your invoice is not being followed up, that other customer of yours will think, okay, you are not that desperate in need of cash. So they will consider channeling their money to whoever is following up desperately on their invoices. What we have said to you is that by linking up with us, by dealing with us, all this process will not be an issue for you. It is for us to resolve.
When you say at no cost, how do you mean?
Okay.
You're not charging anything for the service you're rendering?
Okay.
For being able to advance that money that I needed desperately.
We will charge you a percentage.
To continue the cycle.
We will charge you a percentage for the money we are giving to you. Okay. So for the money we are giving to you, i.e. the advancement of the invoice, the payment of the invoice, we will charge you some nominal fee. But the process of managing the collection, i.e., okay, your sales ledger management, your receivables management, who picks the phone to call the client. This invoice may be due in the next 30 days. This invoice should be due in the next 5 days. This invoice may be due in the next 3 days. Guys, can you, if it is for us to manage, if in the process, if we keep prompting and it turns out, touch wood, that the invoice is missing, the client would have alerted us ahead. So we can then come back to you and say, look, this invoice the client is saying is missing. Give us a copy. Let us give to the customer. Then we are able to stay within the payment terms. Now, this aspect of the process is free. It's free. That is our value addition to your business. And that's why when I say we really cut down your cost, it saves you from having a department to handle credit. It saves you from having a department which will do follow-up. It even saves you from having a collector, but you are selling on credit.
I see. How competitive then are you? Because I'm listening to you, and then you're sounding to me like the way people would ordinarily walk to a microfinance company and say, you know what, I have done the supply. Can you give me money to be able to go and do this job, and then later I'll do that. And we Ghanaians are very much afraid when it comes to these kind of interests that are charged over there. How competitive is Lynch Capital such that I'll be bold enough to bring my invoice to Lynch Capital and say, take it, and then I can go to sleep and continue business?
I can assure you, you know, because it's somehow a new area, most people tend to ask some of these questions, but I can assure you it's very convenient, it's very flexible, and it's that quick. So what we're saying is that, granted you walk into my office today and you say, look, I have an invoice with this organization, it takes you a maximum 3 days. Now, within that period, what is completely missing in the process is for you to have any collateral, no matter the amount. Let me emphasize it. You need no collateral, no matter the amount involved. So for us, your only collateral is actually your invoice. That is how convenient the whole process is. So if, for example, to use your own, example, you walk into a microfinance, this aspect of no collateral is a no-go area. It's not possible. Plus, you might have to go and come 3, 4, 5 days. Plus, credit committee would have to sit on it. In this case, it's finished. Once you walk in, you give an invoice. In fact, just let you be aware, we can do all these things without you having to enter my office. Purely
digital.
You don't
send me an email.
Completely. Send me an email. Give me the invoice via email. I forward it to confirm everything via the internet. And it can be done. You will sit in the comfort of your office. You will be in your factory and control the production process. We will deal with all these aspects all within 3 days.
Should I bring my invoice before I supply, or my invoice has to come after I have supplied?
Unfortunately, the agreement you have with your client is minus us. So your client really knows you.
Exactly.
Okay. So now what we do is that for us, because we also don't take collateral, we must safeguard our funds. So we try as much as possible to arrange the process such that we will take your invoice after you have delivered the item to your client. So you can't bring us the invoice ahead of time.
Of the supply.
You have to deliver the items. That is our surest. In fact, that is our collateral. That you have delivered the items is our collateral. That's why we don't ask you for collateral. And we try from our side and in the comfort of your office, make the whole funding process easy.
You seem to be helping to make things very easy for suppliers in this country. I'm aware that the PPA, that's the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, is even trying to register suppliers in this country. We know that the biggest challenge for suppliers has been being able to, manage their credit system. How much of a savior do you think your company is?
I was extremely happy when the news of this PPA arrangement came in. I felt it's one thing that has been missing for far too long. Look, in Europe, for the year 2017, there are reports, okay, on factoring. It's showing a trend. In fact, between 2016 and 2017, the sector grew by 7.6%. Okay, in money terms, it is 1.2 trillion euros. That is how big it is. Over here is just starting. Now, when this PPA thing came in, we said, fine. I think this is about the biggest government has actually done to help suppliers. Because, oh, look, it's such an easy process.
Data available.
You don't need to do anything. The data is there, the people are there, the funding is there. I mean, all you need to do is just deliver. Once you deliver, you don't worry about money. It's so amazing, eh? Most people tend to look at it as, no, take a look at it. That's how simple, that's how easy, that's how fast and convenient the process is.
One more question that is very critical. We know that, yes, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, just as you admitted yourself, 300 days.
Yeah.
Are you saying that when you do the factoring, it's not hinged on which number of days it will take for the company that received the supply to pay, such that there won't be any kind of extra interest to be paid because we thought it was going to be 60 days and now it's gone to 120 days. So we are sorry if we charged you so and so percentage, the percentage now have to move from X to Y.
I make a commitment to you and I state emphatically that when you do factoring and you do factoring with Lynch Capital, there will never be an instance where we say, oh, this invoice, this issue came up, it's gone beyond the days. Because you see, the process of managing collection is ours. Now, once we are going to do our bit of it, if your client has a problem with the invoice, we will know way ahead. Because you see, when you relax with following up, that is when the payables person on the other end would also relax. You understand? The days it takes you to relax, that is how many days he's also relaxing and not processing your invoice. But if you follow up, which is what we own the process of following up, engaging this your customer. It will even happen. And in case it has to happen, we will know way ahead and we will have resolved it. For example, an issue may come up where they say, okay, this item you delivered, it's not up to the specification. You understand? We think it will be rare, but in case it has to happen, we make the commitment that we will come back to you. If it's something that cannot be resolved, then we can look at it differently. But we won't come back to tell you, look, let's revise what we discussed and this has changed, so you have to pay more. No. If the invoice travel beyond your terms, we would not come back to you that do this, or refund us our money, or we are going to charge. It won't happen because we know that we have followed the payable process all throughout. So it will never happen that we will come back and say, look, change this now.
Mr. Dodoo, are you not sure that you are not one of those debt recovery companies or debt collectors? Let me put it that way. I mean, I'm listening to you, you are managing my credit. It's like banks, taking on debt recovery companies and say, go after the people who owe us and go and collect our money for us. Are you not just one of those companies?
It's a fair question. But a typical debt collector will not have given you money. The typical debt collector, you will go to him, this my invoice is bad already. In fact, in most cases, it's becoming something which looks like it can't be paid. So then you run to a debt collector. You understand? But in this case, we have actually advanced you the money. So we are in a completely different sphere, completely different. Okay. Now, what the debt collector would have done for you and charge you, we have added it to our package and we say, take that for free. For free. for free. And we have actually given you the money. So all you need to do is, okay, this is my invoice, I've delivered the item, it's paid. In fact, forget about that invoice and carry on except an issue arises. If nothing arises, forget about the invoice. Carry on with your job. Go for the next PO. Fight for the next order. I mean, look to ways to doing things. Find other things to do with your money. Do expansion. Move into other areas. Look to taking on bigger orders from the mines. Look to growing your business. Look at that. Consider cash flow issues and working capital issues, all offloaded onto Lynch Capital at no cost, minimal cost for the money, but not for the process of management of your debt.
If I walk to you and I'm a new person who wants to start a new business and I ask you that, what are the 2 or 3 key things that I need to be able to learn to manage my cash flow? What would you tell me?
It's such a broad area, but
what is the one thing you would tell me that I can walk away and help manage my cash flow as a business person?
Keep up with your payables. Keep up with your receivables. Keep up with your receivables. You see, it is tempting when people deliver and they deliver the invoices and then they go relaxing. Okay, because I've given the invoice to them, it will be paid. For them, if they delay 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, it comes to them at no cost. So for you, all you need to do to be in business and effectively manage your working capital is keep up with your receivables. Keep up with your receivables. Keep up with your receivables. There's nothing more.
How can we apply this to managing our economy? Ensuring that, because we've taken a lot of loans as a country, too much loans.
Yes.
I mean, but you hear the experts talk about, debt to GDP. That's where you should be looking at. When you look at it, you realize our debt to GDP is better than it used to be, even though we have taken more loans as a country.
I hear that argument a lot. And in fact, when you look broadly across, just as our loan stock is increasing, our capital items is also gone up. The number of healthcare centers we have today is sky high. It's a lot. We have world-class hospitals. Our roads seem to be in good shape.
Somewhat.
A couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, until maybe in recent times. So you see, yes, because we cannot do one and leave the other. And we are not, unfortunately, we are a raw material exporting country. If it were to be that we are exporting a lot of processed goods, then yes, we'll be raking in a lot of dollars, and then we may not need to borrow that much. But because we are selling mainly raw materials, we are not getting maximum foreign exchange to help us fund these things by ourselves. And we've lacked a lot over the years. It's only today we are talking of improving our health sector, and I think it looks good. You understand? But a lot of investment has gone into that area. We couldn't have done it on our own. We could not have done it on our own. So yes, I hear the argument, but it's only when you don't take a complete look at the scenario, then you will do this kind of argument. But
I think that we've not been able to, as a country, to really put our foot in there to ensure that the Local Content Act or whatever freebies that are in there for us, we take charge of it. How do you think we'll be able to do that? Has it got to do with finance, or is just the fact that Ghanaians don't have the wherewithal to be able to also play in the various fields? We've seen mining booming. We've seen oil and gas, which is staring at our faces, but the multinationals seem to be taking everything from us.
In that area, unfortunately, it's a combination of things. The two things I will single out is funding and then skill. But I think the biggest issue is finance. The biggest issue for the local content or the local company to partake effectively in this area is actually finance. Because you see, when you look at even oil and gas, the contract may look small, but the amount of money involved to execute it, it only takes a very limited number of local companies to do that. And that's where we think our entrance should be a game changer. Because you see, where we are now, for the local company, you don't worry any longer about delayed payment. You understand? Offload the invoice, get your money now, take care of the next item. Offload your invoice, get your money now, take care of the next item. Okay. So funding really and truly, beyond where we are now, for the local company should be a fairly easy thing to manage. Now, our expectation going into the future is that we will play a meaningful, significant role in this area. And then from that, we would expect to see a lot of local companies coming onto the big stage to perform. We don't really need to, it cannot be as it used to be. Because we are in, it changes the game completely. Don't wait for 15 days. For what? The solution is there. Understand? The solution is there. You don't need to. All you need to is to execute what has been given you initially. Take this next PO, put in your bid for the next order. You understand? So you have no reason to be sitting and waiting for money. It's not. We think the local companies should now look out, look beyond the banks, look beyond. There are good, fantastic, products available. So take advantage of them, and then you can play at the big stage. They should be able to venture into the oil and gas sector and look at the big orders. Look at the big orders, because don't worry, the funding will be there for you.
Well, you seem to say that you are the game changer to be able to change the face
for the local
content financing and all that, which most us are in the supply side.
Yes.
But beyond, financing suppliers,
yes,
what else do you do?
We have a broad spectrum of products. So, for example, your payroll. Your payroll can be managed by us.
How?
Okay. You have an order. You've executed. You ran out of cash. The pay date is run out at the corner. That invoice is not paid as usual. You are low on cash. But pay date is here. We said, no problem at all. Give us your payroll. We would advance your payroll for you. In fact, for advancing your payroll, again at minimal fee, but then we would, just to help you organize yourself and your finances much better, we will give you additional 10 days. So usually we would finance your payroll at 30 days or 35 days or 40 days as the case may be, depending on the company we are talking about. So on that score, yes. Now there's in not too long into the future, we expect to make the biggest of announcements. So now we are looking to partner with one of the biggest finance, procurement, project management firms in the world. Possibly in a couple of weeks, we will be making that announcement, and then we will bring in more funding. We will spread across various sectors of the economy. We will go into healthcare delivery. We will be in construction, upstream petroleum operations will be there, and all these is just on the back of the confidence and then the significant progression we've seen with what we have been doing already in the last 12, 13, 14 months. Okay. So look out for us in the next few weeks. I don't think we are looking at even 4 months down the line.
I see, very finally from you, Mr. Dodoo, I want you to be able to look into this camera and tell us why you think that it is important that we do business with Lynch Capital. Why you think you can manage the supply chain better, help to become the stopgap and become the savior for these suppliers who a lot of the times become cash-strapped because they have supplied and it has to take them 60, 30, 45 or 300 days as you made us aware.
Fortunately, I can tell you, you don't need a collateral. It's collateral free. Secondly, it's such a flexible system. Minimal paperwork is required. The funding is available within the next 3-4 days maximum. The entire process of having to manage collection is no longer your issue. For a business person or for a small company, we think we have given you one hell of a platform that allows you to do nothing other than deliver your service and then carry on with the next order. Deliver the service and carry on with the next order. For the first time in your entire business life, we say offload your working capital needs onto Lynch Capital, and we would deliver in that area. You concentrate on delivering of service, which is your key responsibility. Deliver your service. We will take off your working capital needs.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Frederick Nii Dodoo,
for to talk to you.
Speaking to us on the B&FT
Nice to have
chat today.
Nice to have you.
We hope to see you some other time.
Yes, look out for us. Look out for us. Thank you.
Well, that's how we end today's edition of the B&FT chat with me, Norvan Hayford. I've been speaking to Frederick Nii Dodoo, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Lynch Capital. I'm sure you've heard it for yourself. Those of you who are suppliers, it's time for you to, heave a sigh of relief, because there's a savior for you now. So if you are supplying to the education ministry, you're supplying at the aviation sector, talk of oil and gas, talk of the mining companies, why not? It doesn't matter which sector that it is. Now there is room for you to manage your cash flow, ensure that your receivables are well managed, to ensure that that supply that you do, you will get value for money. You'll be able to access your funds as quick as possible to turn around the business that you do. Join us again next time, where we'll bring you another insightful interview as far as various sectors of this economy is concerned. My name is Norvan Hayford. Have a good day. Goodbye.